Jojo and this is The Sound of Jojo. So, as it turns out, I actually like My Fair Lady more than I like Sound of Music. Now, I know, you're probably completely shocked. Or maybe you're not. As it turns out, Sound of Music was not #1 in my favourite Julie Andrews performances video. Spoilers. Honestly, that surprises even me. So maybe you're shocked about this title, or maybe you're not. Regardless, before we go any further, I will say that this title is a bit clickbaity. Intentionally so, because I'm not actually talking about this. I'm talking about this. And this, as opposed to this. Now I'm sure it probably goes without saying that if there is a version or adaptation of a story that Julie Andrews is in, it will be my favourite version. It's guaranteed to be the version I love the most. Except Mary Poppins. It is objectively better than Mary Poppins Returns, but I'd rather watch the latter. Even if I haven't seen a version of something connected to Julie, the version with Julie will most likely be my favourite regardless. So for example, Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. It's coming to Sydney in October and I can't wait to see it. I know I'm going to love it, but the original 1957 version with Julie will always be special to me in a way the stage musical will not, simply because it's Julie. And that's part of the reason I like My Fair Lady as a musical more than I like the musical version of Sound of Music. It has pretty much everything to do with recording. Julie was the OG Eliza Doolittle on Broadway, and because of that she was somewhat in consideration to be the lead in the movie. But Jack Warner thought it was too risky and instead he cast Audrey Hepburn. Julie did Mary Poppins and she won the Oscar and the Golden Globe and the rest is history. But in doing that, Audrey became Eliza in a more concrete way than Julie ever will, even though Julie got there first. People who know that Julie did My Fair Lady, well, obviously know about Audrey, but not everybody who knows the movie and Audrey Hepburn as Eliza Doolittle will know that Julie did it first. Simply because movies are so much more accessible and it's been over 60 years since My Fair Lady came out on Broadway. Now I have seen the movie and I did enjoy it when I saw it. I remember saying to my mother that it was kind of like Princess Diaries, and this was before I knew Julie was connected to it at all. And kind of like Princess Diaries, I don't dislike it because of the quality of the movie itself, but more of the things that aren't specifically related to that. More of a societal, cultural thing, in this case simply the fact that Julie is not in it. Which is kind of cruel, but it's something my mind came up with years ago that's still there today and I can't get rid of just like that. So because the stage version of My Fair Lady was never recorded with or without Julie, that I know of, I'm less peeved about seeing a stage version that she's not in. Because by virtue of being on the stage, the actresses are constantly changing and thus are not definitive in a way that Audrey is. Anna O'Byrne, for example, who was playing Eliza when I saw it, is not definitively Eliza in the same way she could be considered the definitive Christine in Love Never Dies. Because, you know, that was filmed. Outside of a few clips from The Ed Sullivan Show, we don't have any record of Julie playing Eliza Doolittle. Long story short, I'm pissed that Julie wasn't in the movie and try to avoid it as much as possible. And thus I'm left with a real-life, in-person experience that doesn't have a fixed actress playing the protagonist and nothing else. Which brings us to Sound of Music, which obviously does have a movie. I've talked many times about how the musical and the movie are significantly different, and there are indeed filmed versions of the musical. But Julie's portrayal in the film overrides everything else. No one is going to say Carrie Underwood is the definitive Maria, even though her performance has been committed to film in the same way Julie's has. In fact, they bashed her about the exact fact that she wasn't Julie Andrews, sometimes without even having watched the film, which is truly, truly unfair, regardless of the flaws in this production. Who knows, maybe in a way I might like the musical version of Sound of Music more than I like the musical version of My Fair Lady. Sound of Music as a thing is something I love so, so much more than My Fair Lady, and so you could say, because it's a part of that, I like it more than the stage version of My Fair Lady. But if I were to go see My Fair Lady on stage, I'd be seeing my absolute favourite version of this story. Whereas seeing Sound of Music on the stage would be seeing something that is not my favourite version. Which is why My Fair Lady ranks higher than Sound of Music on my list of favourite musicals. So they are right next to each other. My Fair Lady is number 3 and Sound of Music is number 4. I will go see Sound of Music on stage any chance I get. but Julie will always be Maria. I will also go and see My Fair Lady on stage any chance I get. But with that, I will get to see somebody playing the role who is not the definitive Eliza Doolittle in the same way Audrey is, leaving Julie herself to be my definitive Eliza Doolittle, even though I haven't seen her do the role. And yes, this is very harsh on the movie, which is in and of itself very, very good. But these are simply the thoughts in my brain right now, and I haven't done much to quote-unquote change them. Audrey did a great job in the movie, and looking back, it was probably best that it turned out that way. But if I can't see a recorded version of Julie, I will stick with real-world experiences at the theatre with many, many different actresses playing this role, and kind of more or less ignore the movie. So there are all my thoughts on the stage versions of Sound of Music and My Fair Lady, and how I feel about them specifically relating to each other. Let me know what you think of these musicals. Which one's your favourite? And am I being too harsh on the movie? Stay safe guys, feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next time. So long, farewell!